All right, what is up, guys? Welcome back to Punk Rock Radar, and we are coming to you today with the best and worst songs off of every single Lagwagon album. So it's been a little bit since we've done one of these. We would definitely want to do them more consistently, but I guess just off the bat, if you don't know who Lagwagon is, I'm sure most of you do. We talk about them on the channel quite a bit, but just let me give you a quick little read up of Lagwagon, who they are, kind of set the tone for the video. Then we'll pass it to John. Then we'll get right into the list. But Lagwagon, a very important early 90s skate punk band out of Goleta, California. I'm pretty sure that's how you pronounce it. And one of the, or I think the very first band to sign to Fat Records, Fat Mike of nofx's record label. I'm pretty sure it's the first one. I almost positive. Let me know in the comments if not. But the band has consisted of members of punk bands such as Rich Kids on LSD, but the most well known are frontman Joey Cape and drummer Derek Plord, which I think is how you say his name
Yeah.
as well. Let me know. Derek, who died in 2005 and is considered by some to be one of the greatest drummers in punk history, and Joey Cape, who has released a massive output of work, including Bad Astronaut, his solo acoustic project, and 9 Lagwagon records, which we will be discussing today. So, John, what do you have to say about this? Like, how easy was this for you to do? How difficult? I thought it was pretty difficult. I'm not
Yeah,
gonna lie.
yeah. We're doing like this and Green Day back to back. And Green Day, I just got my notebook and I just boom, I was good. This one, I still don't love my choices. Like I feel like the first few records are so strong that there's like a lot of songs that I don't love, but like I calling them worst, it seems like like hyperbolic, but that's the name of the game. you
Yeah,
know um and two things before we get started. We are doing a giveaway, so I'll do that first. So Seth Campbell, who draws a lot of the logos we have, the Dookie logo, all like there's a new shirt coming out that's a nofx one, but we're gonna give away, he's got these awesome Fat Wreck flash sets. I'll put them up on the
that's
screen.
awesome.
There's a Lagwagon, Swingin' Utters, Frenzel Rom, and nofx. I have them all framed. I am mid move, so I don't have them up on the wall right now. But we're gonna give away a full set of the flash art things. You could frame them. You can do whatever you want. They're so cool.
That's
Uh,
super dope.
all
Yeah,
you have to do to enter is to comment down below your favorite Lagwagon song and your least favorite Lagwagon song, and you'll get a bonus entry if you do the same on the Instagram giveaway post and follow Seth. So that's all you have to do. It's very simple. These are awesome art. I have them hanging up in my office once this is all good to go. Um, Second thing, the Bad Year album Moancore is in stock. I got these fresh from the UK. If you're a fan of Kerplunk era Green Day, go check this out. It's streaming on their Bandcamp. So Bad Year Moancore, go check it out. And there may or may not be a 50% off discount code in the Discord. So go check that out. And yeah, but Elliot, anything else you want to say before we get into here?
no, I'll have to hit Seth up to cover up a couple bad tattoos I have because his art is fucking dope. But yeah, let's just get into it and let's start it off with Lagwagon's debut on Fat Records. Duh.
Okay.
Now all of them have gone or changed. Do you still live in angry days?
The first, I want to say first release on Fat Records, but correct me if I'm wrong about that. So maybe official release, maybe there was like a nofx collection they did, but let me know down below. And I started off the Blink video, John, so I'll let you start off this one with your best pick on So what do you think is the best song on
So this there, like I said, the first few are really, really difficult.
Yeah.
Um, I went back and forth with a handful, including the one you picked, but I think I'm gonna go with Angry Days as my pick. I just feel like it has the feel of a more mature sound. It sounds a lot like something that would be off of Haas. And
Definitely.
like on my listening, I went through all these songs, dude. I went through every single album. I listened to all of them again. I've been off from work this week, so I had a ton of time. And the one that was getting stuck in my head after all the listening after this album was Angry Days. So that's going to be my pick, dude. I think it's a banger. I think it's probably the best song on here, which is why I picked it. I'm not sure. There's a lot of good songs on here, but yeah, I'm going to go
Yeah,
Angry
it's pretty
Days.
tough.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I said. Yeah, like I said, these are obviously hyperbolic, best and worst. Lagwagon, I would say, really doesn't have too many songs that I would think are actually bad songs. But
Yeah.
Angry Days is a great pick. I think you're right. It is like a very much more like mature sounding
Yeah.
song on it. Definitely sounds like something that could be on Haas. You're definitely right. But I think my pick, every time I think about I always think of this song, and I put it on so many mix CDs back in the day. So many of my like skate punk mix volume 1 would have this song on it all the time, which is Bury the Hatchet. To me, this is like the definitive duh track. The drumming is
Yeah.
so aggressively spastic, and Derek is one of the things that like you realize like how great of a drummer he is when you listen to stuff like this. Because like no other band, I felt like I didn't hear too many bands doing like drumming this like aggressive and all over the place. And it's like chaotic, but it all comes together in this like super fast, awesome skate punk song. So I'm definitely going with Buried the Hatchet. And I guess we'll
Yeah.
go into what the worst songs now.
Yeah, and by the way, Bury the Hatchet it was my number 2. So
Yeah,
it's
it's
a great
yeah.
pick, yeah. Um
Yeah.
so I had 2 contenders for my least favorite on here.
Yeah.
The first one was going to be Bad Moon Rising, but I didn't want to pick a cover. Ironically, that's my wife's favorite song on here. It's like the lone Dust song she has on her playlist. They came on in the car, and I was like, "Why do you like of all the Dust songs you have this?" But I'm going with so a lot of people. I know people like this song. I'm going with Mr. Coffee, which I feel like is like a one of the legacy Lagwagon song, but like I find this song pretty grating. Now it's annoying to me now. It's a little bit, I don't know if repetitive is the word, but if I'm going to skip a song, like I'm gonna
Yeah.
skip Bad Moon Rising, I'm gonna skip Mr. Coffee. Which is, I love coffee. I'm a coffee snob, I'm a pizza snob, but I never connected with this song, so it's gonna be my worst.
Yeah, I would say it's not gonna be my worst, but I totally get it. It's like the goofy Lagwagon songs, I always felt like there's very few of those type of songs that I like from early Lagwagon. I definitely like the more like a little bit more serious stuff that they do always. And so Mr. Coffee's not a song that I particularly
Good.
revisit too
I was worried
often.
about that one.
No, I mean I think it is like a beloved track though. I think
Yeah.
when you think of Duh, like Mr. Coffee is probably like in the top 5 or top 6 songs you think about. But I think I'll have a few hotter takes than that as we go down the way. But I think I'm gonna go with my worst song. And the worst song on this, I went back and forth with a couple. I like considered Bad Moon Rising, but I actually kind of like it. I think it's actually like a fun cover. I didn't mind it. So I mean, Parents Guide to Living was another one
Yeah.
because just I don't know, the Inspector Gadget riffed in the
Mhm.
beginning. I always feel like that should be like in the middle of a song or at the end of a song as a joke, not like the intro riff to your song. But the song itself isn't that bad. But I was thinking of all these songs and I realized I don't even remember what Child Inside sounds like. And I forgot it was even on the album. And in my mind, it goes Angry Days, Noble Inn, Bad Mood Rising. Like, I totally forgot about this song. And I listened to it and I'm just like, and the other thing is, it's not even a B side. Like, it's a forgettable A side song.
Yeah.
So I think it's a little bit more of an egregious sin, but it's still like, it's a fine song. Like, it's not like one that I'm obviously I forgot about it, but listening to it, it's not like I'm like, oh man, this sucks. It's just like, it's fine.
Dude,
So,
there's totally a pattern with Lagwagon albums. It's like there's people who love the first few tracks, there's people who love the last few tracks, but the
yeah.
middle of the album, like aside from Beer Goggles on here, a lot of these middle tracks are tend to where I start to get lost with
Oh, we'll
Lagwagon.
have to
So
see if
yeah,
that
I'm
stands true.
telling
I
you,
never thought
man.
about it. We'll find. We'll see. We'll see. I'm excited to check that out now. So, but I guess we'll move on here to uh their sophomore release on Fat Records, which is Trashed.
He was almost home, just one more block. He had to hit that last mailbox. Chucked it in a ditch, ain't that a bitch?
And I guess I'll start us off here with my best song. And Trash was really difficult to pick one on. I think this is the most difficult Lagwagon
Yeah.
album to pinpoint my favorite and my least favorite because I feel like this is almost like Lagwagon's Dude Ranch, where I feel like it's just so hard to find a song that's like actually like I'm like, oh, this song is not good. One of the hardest ones. But I went with a song that once again I've put on endless amount of mix CDs, endless amount of. I used to make so many mix CDs, dude. You have no
Yeah,
idea. I
me
had
too,
stacks
man.
and stacks of burns. It was like I would spend like an entire weekend just burning CDs and smoking weed. Um, but the best song I think on Trash, every time I think of Trash, I think of Stoking the Neighbors. Once again, that awesome fucking
Yeah.
tight, aggressive drum intro I absolutely love. And I think it's like one of the most memorable Trash tracks, especially like the little joke part at the end. It was like the names and faces haven't been changed or been left the same to protect the guilty or whatever, or the innocent. I can't remember what it says, but it's a fun little song about, I guess, some story about their friend drinking and driving and crashing his car. They're driving through people's lawns and stuff like that. It's pretty funny. But obviously, I considered like Lazy and Island of Shame, which is one of Lagwagon's best intro songs. So many songs. I have like a huge list of like songs I
Yeah.
could have picked. So, but I'll go ahead. What do you think the best song on Trashed is, John?
Well, I mean, just for example, look at the top of this and the bottom, and then look at the middle.
I
Um,
see. I can see it. I see it. I see
so
it.
I considered all of the first three. I love Island of Shame. I love Lazy. I love Know It All.
Hmm.
And I did end up picking one of those. I went with Know It All, which I think I had in my top five Lagwagon songs. This is one of the first Lagwagon songs I ever heard. My friend Raymond, who it's actually his birthday today. I haven't talked to him in quite a while, but if by chance he's watching it, happy birthday, man. He had this CD. Um, man, this would have had to be the late 90s. And this is the song that he showed me, and I was like, God damn, this is awesome. Uh
Oh yeah,
I love Coffee and Cigarettes.
it's a banger too. Yeah,
This
it's great. That intro riff. I learned it on guitar. It's so fun to play.
dude,
Um,
all Lagwagon riffs, like up to Blaze, I think, like there's like awesome riffs all throughout. I think this may, I said it before, but I think this may have overtaken Blaze as my favorite Lagwagon. Like I was really digging this.
Dude, I feel like it aged better. It just
It's
kind of
so
ages a little
good.
better than Blaze. Yeah, I mean Blaze is honestly a great. We'll get into Blaze when we do it, but I guess we'll get into the worst
Yeah.
songs now, which is one of the toughest things to do here. So, I'll go first with the worst here, and I went with this as my least favorite, and I think it's a pretty beloved cover song by
Yeah.
them.
I'm
But I'm going with
surprised,
Brown
dude.
Eyed Girl. I think it was even a single. I think it was on a 7 inch. To me, I'm just listening to all these songs, and the Brown Eyed Girl covers comes on, and I feel like it just kind of ages the worst. I'm sure at the time it was a more charming kind of fun gimmick to do, but I think just listening back to it now with like so many other punk bands covering Brown Eyed Girl and hearing it so many times. I'm just not really interested in hearing like the Lagwagon cover of Brown Eyed Girl. So a novel gimmick for the time, but it's not a bad cover. But I think it dates the album slightly. I feel like that's
Yeah.
all I'll say about
I'm
it.
not a
So
cover
what's your
song guy, you know this, but actually I like this cover.
yeah?
I think it's way better than the Bad Moon Rising cover. I'll say that.
I don't know. The Bad Moon Rising cover has like a weird sloppy charm to
Yeah,
it.
I would say like of the early covers, I go Brown Eyed Girl, Bad Moon Rising, and then whatever the LL Cool J thing is a distant third.
The back one out. That
um,
kind of goes hard. It's like a Limp Bizkit song.
so I was finding myself in the middle of the album again
Yeah.
for, and I was going between Rust and Discords. I think they're both pretty decent songs,
Yeah,
honestly,
me too. Yeah.
but
So it's hard to pick. I know.
I ended up with Rust. Like if I'm gonna skip a song on here, I think Going South in between those two is actually a good track too.
Yeah.
But Rust is the one I'm least likely to listen to. I think it's still good. It's just a little boring. I don't want to keep saying boring, but of the songs, I feel like it has the least personality to
Definitely.
it. Like I
And
think
between the two, I think I would lean towards Russ being the worst as well because
okay,
I think I like Discord's a good bit. I think it's a good song.
yeah. I was
So
this was a struggle. Like I listened
it
to this like
was
four times. I was like,
there's no bad song on Trash. I think this is like Lagwagon's 10 out of 10 right
yeah,
here, if
it's
I had
really
to
good.
say. So, but let's move on to the next one here, which we're going to go to one of their most iconic albums, which is going to be Haas. And I think I started us off with the best on Trash. So, John, you can start us off with the best on Haas. What's the best song on Haas?
So I love this album too.
Yeah.
I had two that I was like really deciding between, which is Violins and Sick. But
Hmm.
I think like I'm gonna say objectively, but I guess music is subjective, of course. I think Violins is probably their best song. I could have been a radio hit. Like it's just it
It's
for me.
good.
It's
It's
got
good.
everything. So I have to go with Violins. I just think
Also, just
it's a near
yeah,
flawless song.
it's really good. It's also like one of the most like heart wrenching like breakup songs. So
Yeah.
if you listen to him on the acoustic split with Tony Sly do this
Oh,
song,
so
that's
good. Yeah.
I remember hearing that and I'm like, holy fuck, this is a sad ass song. Which I never thought about when I was listening to Haas. It's a song and it plays through, but you don't realize like, oh man, this is like really depressing.
Yeah, it is
So
definitely.
it became my breakup song listening to that Joey Cape. Anytime I had a breakup with a girl, I put on Joey Cape uh, acoustic version of Violin. So honestly, probably the best, objectively the best pick if we're going to use the word objective, which I guess I just did. So
Yeah,
we
we
have.
both did.
Uh, and so I'm gonna pick my best song on this one, and I'm just going with a song that when I think of Haas, I considered Violins, but I also just realized I actually low key like the Joey Cape's acoustic version a little better than even the Haas version. I just really like that one. But I went with Razorburn. And, I considered a lot of these, but I think Razorburn just has that iconic part where it's that "Come All Ye Faithful" part,
Yeah.
where it just like, especially if you were like a church kid growing up and you heard that, then you heard this like remixed into a punk song. There's like a weirdly like just hype, powerful part of it. But even though it's a song about like shaving your beard and stuff, like it's all like "Come All Ye Faithful, joyful and triumphant." I am a new man. I've got a new mustache. I think that's what it says. Yeah, correct me if I'm wrong. So,
I think
but
you're right.
yeah. So I know I don't want to get a lyric wrong. We're gonna have like 500 people comment like the Blink video. It's like, do you even know the lyrics, man?
No, dude,
Sorry.
that's Blink fan. I don't think Lagwagon fans are that
They'll
hostile.
be a little more. Hey, no
Yeah.
one else is doing this for Lagwagon.
Yeah.
So plenty of people talk about Blink. But yeah, I think Razorburn is. I think Razorburn. People were telling me was even on the radio in the '90s, so it kind of became like a little radio hit as well, which is
And I didn't
interesting.
know
People
that.
said, yeah, people saying I think it got some radio play in certain areas, which is pretty interesting. But I guess we'll go on to the worst here, John. What do you think the worst song on Haas is, if you had to pick? Which is pretty
Yeah.
difficult.
It is difficult, but I'm going back to the middle of the album,
Yeah, yeah.
which is it's gonna be a
You're right.
theme.
I'm seeing this here too. Yeah. Go ahead.
It
Sorry.
starts strong and it ends strong, but I'm going with and this is the one like I actually like this song.
Yeah, me
I
too.
feel like it could be some band's best song on an album, but like there's like two and you have the other one that I'm just like like it's pretty good. Like I'm not gonna skip it, but if I have to pick a song that I like least, it would be Black Eyes, and there's nothing wrong with it. It's just you know, it's just the one I
It just
listen to
it
least.
does less than everything else, and
Yeah.
that's all you can really say about a lot of these. But I guess I'll go into my worst here, which it's pretty tough. I had a couple for consideration, not because I thought they were bad songs, because I wasn't sure which one was
Yeah.
actually the weakest song. And I was like, ah, no, I kind of like this. Like I considered "Ride the Snake," but I actually think it's like a unique song, and it stands out as like an outro track. And I felt
Yeah.
like that was a bit of a cop out to even say.
I
And
try to stay away from the last track because like the
yeah.
last track's where I feel like you have a little leeway.
You got a way to be experimental, you have a way to do kind of something strange that may not be like good as a singular song, but it's good as an
Yeah.
ending to an album. And then I considered Bro Dependent, but listening to that, I was like, Bro Dependent is just a fun song. Like I don't like it. Then I just kind of realized I can't remember what weak sounded like in
Yeah.
my mind. I was thinking about it. I was like, because I remember what every song sounds like in here. I remember what Black Eyes, I remember Bro Dependent. And then I listened to it and I'm like, this might be the weakest track, if I'm being honest. So I just, it's not like a bad song. It's just like a bit weak in comparison to everything else. So, a pun intended.
Yeah.
So,
I agree. That would be like in my bottom three. And I want to shout out again in case I didn't do it enough. The chorus of Sick is the best chorus on the album, I think. It just hits so
it's really
hard.
good. Yeah,
So
it's a banger.
if there's somebody here like just looking for like where to start with Lagwagon, I would put like Sick as my 1B. It's
That
really freaking
ending where he's
good.
just saying "silence lies empty" just
Yeah.
over and over. It's so hype. It's such a great song. But yeah, I guess we'll move on to kind of like a debated about Lagwagon album a little bit. There's not too many debatable Lagwagon albums, but some people are love the production on Double Platinum. Some people don't like it as much. I'm a bit in the middle.
Yeah.
So we'll kind of go into the best song here, and I'll. Am I starting us off
Yeah.
here? Yes, I am. So
And the day ends, a so-called friend, a drunken bed.
I considered a few songs, one of them being 27, which was also a song he did on the Joey Cape Tony Sly split. And I love the lyrics of 27. But like once again, I feel like the production on the more pop punk stuff just doesn't do it justice as much as it should. But I think a song that encapsulates the production really well is Choke. And I think it works with that fuzzy dark guitar tone. It has that really cool like bass line in the beginning, him going choke, choke, and then it has like all these little like weird like breakdowns and different dynamic stuff going on in the song, and I think it works really well for what Double Platinum's trying to do, and I think it represents Double Platinum very well. Uh, but John, what do you think, and what is your best song off of Double Platinum?
This yeah, I the only notes I took about this album are pretty much what you said. Is like that really muddy, like
Yeah,
dark sounding production. And to me, I think it works best with my favorite song, which is Making Friends.
it's a good one.
Um,
Yeah.
just the way it starts is just it's like the antithesis of what you would think with like pop punk and upbeat. It's just so I don't know. But I really like this song. It's definitely this was very easy for me. I think Double Platinum is top heavy. Um, but Making Friends, I would go Making Friends probably one. Then
Mhm.
your least favorite, shocking. I won't spoil it, but that's one of my
I know.
favorites too.
I know this. I
Um,
know. We'll get into it.
but I love 27 also. Yeah, Choke is a banger. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah,
So
what's your
we'll
least
get into your
favorite?
worst here, which I think
I
is
need to
probably
hear
my
this
most.
explanation.
Yeah, this is my most controversial pick. Um, and I'm not here to like just do hot takes or try to like pick things that I don't think about. And I'll try to explain my reasoning for this. But my least favorite on here is Alienate, which is the intro song. One, I think up to this point, this is my least favorite intro track by Lagwagon. There's something about it. I just don't really like the da be an alien. And then once again, I just think the pop punk songs on here just sound so muddy with
Yeah.
this production that I feel like Alienate would be a great song on Let's Talk About Feelings. I feel like it would be a pretty good song on Haas, but I feel like the production just muddies it so much where it's like this is like a pop punk song, but I feel like I've got this static ringing in my ear, and it's like Joey's singing a little bit in the distance, and where I feel like it just doesn't do it justice very well. And I think Alienate is like almost one of the songs that like makes me originally not want to listen to Double Platinum when I was getting into Lagwagon. I was like, oh, I don't know about this. I don't know how this sounds. Like the song isn't badly written. I think the production just works really, really strongly against the more pop punk sounding songs on here. And I like 27 better than Alienate, so I'm going with that. So, but
Yeah.
that's my take there. I mean,
So,
at least understand what I'm
yeah,
getting at
yeah.
there. Somewhat.
It's
Yeah.
when I think about Alienate and then if it moved to Let's Talk About Feelings production, I could definitely see what you're saying.
Hmm.
It's I don't know. I've always gravitated towards the. It was like one of the when I was getting into Lagwagon, it was one of the first songs I heard. So I've got a little nostalgia for it. So I can look past it. Uh there's a couple songs on here where I was like, I don't really know. But the one I'm gonna pick is Bad Scene,
Yeah,
which is not a bad song. It feels like the ones I'm picking for Lagwagon are the ones I feel like have the least identity. Like I think Alienate's pretty original sounding. I think Making Friends is really original
hmm,
sounding. But like Bad Scene, it could have been like any band could have wrote this song. It's pretty much like a by the numbers
sure,
um
sure.
90s
Yeah,
punk song. And to me, like Joey's such a great songwriter, and it doesn't really shine here. It's very generic, and it's a skip for me. It's one of the few
yeah.
Lagwagon skips, but I don't really care for it.
I like how he sings on it though. I think I like some of the melodies on Bad Scene, but that whole middle section was up for
Yep.
consideration. It's just I kind of ended up wanting to one talk about the production and like my issues with it, and I felt like Alienate represented
Yeah.
that really well. So like I think it was like Today was okay. I like Today, but Confession was
Yep.
kind of mid, and so
Smile.
was Bad Scene and stuff like that, and Smile. Smile is better than Confession and Bad Scene. Confession and Bad Scene were my two picks before I decided let's throw in a hot take and see if we can get some comments.
I saw that. I was like, wow, okay.
I knew, I told you because John, he sent me. He was just like, "Are people gonna get mad that I picked Mr. Coffee?" I'm like, "Dude, trust me, I think I have a hotter take than that." So, well, let's move on to probably Lagwagon's most well known record, which is "Let's Talk About Feelings." And I'll have you go first on this one, John. And what do you think is the best song on "Let's Talk About Feelings"?
Here he is. He's
Well, we were talking about today, a future episode that we're doing, which
Mhm.
is best openers. And what made me think about it is After You, My Friend. Just the way that starts with the kind of left hand guitar and then the octave comes in. It's so good. I feel like this
It's really
song
good.
is a good parallel to Alienate. I think those two songs are very similar, but this one is just like a different level, and it just
Oh
gets you
yeah.
so stoked for the
Oh,
opener.
100%.
It's one of my all-time favorite Lagwagon songs. I think I definitely had it in my top 5. Um Other ones I considered are obviously the one you picked. I won't spoil
Hmm.
it. Um but I think the first four are all really good. The last four are all really good. Yeah, but I After You, My
The
Friend is probably top 2 Lagwagon songs for me.
Yeah, honestly, listening to this again, I think I used to put this kind of lower in Lagwagon's discography. Not that I thought it was bad, just in comparison to one of my favorites. But honestly, I think it holds up. I think the production. This is one of Lagwagon's best production sounds.
Yeah.
In my opinion. I mean, I think it honestly is. Thinking about it, I think it is, and I think that really elevates the album a lot. And After You, My Friend is definitely one of their best
So
opening
good.
tracks. It's an absolute banger. It gets you really excited to get into the album. But I went with just someone had to do it. Someone
Yeah.
has to pick this song. There's no way you can't. It's the best song Lagwagon has ever written. It's not my favorite song. I don't listen to it all the time, but I think objectively, May 16th is the best Lagwagon song. It has one of the just most like beautiful guitar riff intro and just the way Joey Cape sings it. I think it comes together as just like the definitive Lagwagon song. And also, I always try to put it together with the Kids Are All Wrong because I think that transition from that
Yeah.
little acoustic
So
part of
good.
the Kids Are All Wrong into May 16th, it gives me chills, dude, when I hear it. I'm like, oh fuck, we're about to go in. And it's so good. It's an iconic track. It has to be picked. I think it's like probably Lagwagon's best song. I don't know if I would consider it my personal favorite, but I think it has to be stated. I mean, the song has just stood the test of time, and on Spotify, it's on their top 5 songs twice because I guess they separated the deluxe edition, so which is
Yeah.
pretty funny.
What do
But
you think of the album, the track placement of May 16th? I always
I
found it
think
like a little perplexing.
I think it's cool. I think it's cool. I like it as at the end because it's like this big single, but it's like it builds up to like all of a sudden like you're at the end and there's this amazing song like this
Yeah.
like at the end. I think it's really cool when somebody puts like a killer track at the end of their album. I always respect it. I think it's really cool because obviously the A sides are really good, but then the B-side is like maybe it's like not as good at first, but then May 16th hits, you're like, "Oh, fuck, this is an amazing album." Because it leaves you with a good feeling, you know what I mean? When you leave the album, you just listen to May 16th and "Oh, and Meanie's a good song too." So, but I guess we'll get into the worst here.
Yeah.
And, John, what do you think the worst song is on Let's Talk About Feelings?
I was just real quick. I was gonna say it was so rare in the CD days to have like
Oh, yeah, sorry,
the
go ahead,
big
yeah.
song that far down the track list. It was a big risk, but obviously it paid off. It didn't matter. But yeah,
Yeah,
Elliot, I think this is the only instance of us having the same pick
yeah.
across the entire thing. So we both picked, unbeknownst to each other, we both picked Everything Turns Gray.
That's
And
correct.
dude, I've never liked this song. This is like one of the few songs on this in the first like what is this album 5 that I really just don't like. I don't know what it is. I can't place my finger on it, but it feels like I guess it is technically a B-side, but you know what like a non-album track. Like
Well,
it's not of the
do you
caliber of the rest of
do
the
you
album.
do you know it's a cover
No, I didn't know
of
that.
it?
Okay.
It's a
Well,
cover of Agent Orange, which
I
is
did
a
not
80s
know
hardcore
that.
band, so this is probably why you dislike it,
Oh,
and my reasoning for disliking it's not because I dislike the song, it's because I think Agent Orange does it so much better than this, and I think Lagwagon's Everything Turns Gray cover is kind of boring in comparison. So it's just kind of like a boring cover, and a boring cover is gonna lose a lot of points for me, where
yeah.
I think Brown Eyed Girl and even Bad Moon Rising are more interesting cover songs than, Everything Turns Gray, personally.
Dude,
So
that makes so much sense now.
I
Like
know everything's
it,
clicking.
it feels out of place on here. So I okay.
Yep, that's why. It's a cover song by an '80s, band, but I mean, I think, Agent Orange is a great band, that Living in Darkness album's good, but I think they do it much better than Lagwagon personally. I don't know if you would even agree. That'd be interesting because it's not the '80s hardcore that you don't like. I think it's a lot more accessible. You might actually like Agent Orange personally.
I'm
That'd
gonna
be
take a
interesting.
listen after this for sure.
Yeah, yeah. Do Bloodstains and Everything Turns Gray. Like, check those 2 out, and yeah. But
That's
well, I guess we'll
funny,
move
man.
on here to what I think was both of ours at one point favorite Lagwagon album for a very long time. This
Yes.
was my favorite Lagwagon album. And like you said, I feel like we've got a sleeper with Trash kind of rising up as one of the best Lagwagon records, but this is still a amazing Lagwagon record. It was very tough to figure this out, but I guess I'll go first here with the best song.
If I could sing them all to sleep. If
I've talked about this song many times. It's just one that it's a very unique sounding Lagwagon song, and I don't think I've heard them do anything like this. And I think it just has a lot of dynamic energy to it and does a lot of different things. But it's going to be Lullaby, which absolutely love, and it's a reference to a Chuck Palahniuk book of the same name. The song is literally like about the book, and it's a really awesome book if you want to read something just kind of weird and strange. The author of Fight Club, if you didn't know. And Lullaby is my pick. I think it's an absolute banger. There was a ton that I considered. Dancing the Collapse, I Must Be Hateful. Max Says, I love Max Says. Never Stops is awesome. I want to say either Billionaire or Baggage. They're pretty. I can't remember which one I like really well, but there's so many great songs on here. So, John, what is your favorite song or the best song on Blaze here?
I feel like I'm repeating myself, but I think this was the hardest one for me to pick a best.
Yeah,
I think the first 5 songs are all contenders. Yeah, the first 5 are all really good. Let me see. I like the last couple too, actually. But
mm,
I went with, and I don't even know if I had this on my list for top 5, but like listening back, I was like, this is the best song. And it's
yeah,
I Must Be Hateful. And this, like, for me, I always gravitated towards Blaze because I feel like it covers a lot of bases sonically. Like there's a lot of slowdowns, a lot of speed ups, a lot of like drop ins, drop outs. And I don't know. This is like the most mainstream, I guess, sounding Lagwagon album to me. It feels like it has like
definitely.
the tightest production. And I've always really liked this album. I think they knocked the whole thing out of the park. But like,
Mhm.
I don't know, dude. There's something about I Must Be Hateful. I'll listen to it one
It's
time and I'm
really
singing it
good.
for days. It's just
Yeah,
so
it's really
good.
good. It's I can't make the what is it? I can't make the damn phone ring. Like it's just so good.
Yeah, it's amazing.
And just that guitar riff that just is so like beautiful sounding mixed with like the fast drumming going on. It's a great pick. I mean, I Must Be Hateful is like probably like second or third pick for me. So, but I guess we'll go to the worst tier, which is pretty difficult. I switched it up a couple times. But I think I finally landed on the song "Dinner in a Movie." And this is not like a bad song by any means. But to me, this just kind of seems like a leftover from Let's Talk About Feelings, where it's not a bad song. And I think just in the context of everything else on here, I mean, there's just so many just heavy hitting Lagwagon songs here that I feel like Dinner in a Movie kind of uh it gets forgotten about by me. It's also in between Never Stops and Lullaby, which are like
Yes.
two of like the best songs on the album. So it's in a bad position as it is, but uh to me I just think Dinner in a Movie is one of the weaker tracks, kind of like a leftover song from, Let's Talk About Feelings. But what do you think the worst song is, John?
I have no issue with that pick.
Yeah.
Even like on like this is a top 20 album of all time for me, so I feel pretty strongly about the ones I like and don't like. For worst for me, I considered three.
Mhm.
Um, I was surprised you said you that Max Says was in contention for you. Like that's one I've always kind of skipped. Dinner in a Movie is always one I kind of skip, but I think the
Yeah.
worst song on here is Billy Club. It's got like this vocal effect for the entirety of the song.
Yeah, the lo-fi vocal effect,
It's
yeah. It's when I saw you pick that, I went back and listened to it, and I was like, "Oh, man, yeah, I feel like
yeah.
this might be."
It just like and it has
Uh,
like no peaks and valleys. It's just kind of stagnant. Like it's kind of the same kind of tone and feel. And it's
I
not
will
really
s
it's very boring. I don't know, man. This is the
I
one song I dislike on the entire record.
I will say I feel like it stands out at least, and it's, like, right kind of in the middle of the album, like a transition from A to B, so I feel like the placement is good for Billy Club, but yeah, I agree with you, the lo-fi effect the entire time, and it's
Yeah,
a very
it's
mid-tempo song. It's probably I would say if you didn't pick it, I probably should have picked it. And for Max Says, I just really like the lyrics of Max Says, but yeah, I totally it's definitely not, like, one of the strongest with,
yeah.
like,
Let's shout out
voting metrics.
Dividers though, real quick. I love Dividers as
Oh,
well. I
it's
didn't
so
mention
good.
it before, but like that's
Yeah.
that's kind of that's kind of for me. It goes against what I've been saying, where the middle is weak. Dividers is a banger.
Oh, "No, divide us," and when he's shouting that, oh, it's so good.
Yeah.
So Dividers, I should have mentioned that as well. This is one of their best records, like, it
Yes,
really it's definitely, like, number 1 or number 2, I feel like it has to be.
I
But,
agree.
I guess we'll move on to, probably, a lot of people's, I would say, for a while, least favorite Lagwagon album. People thought this was kind of a dip in quality here, and I completely get it. I was definitely one of those at the time, but I have grown to love Resolve, and I think it's a phenomenal record. But I guess we'll start with you, John. And what do you think the best song on Resolve is?
Get up, smile, find a need, wash your hair, bleach your teeth, develop habits, automatic.
Yeah, I've never really. I don't think it's a bad album, but I would say it's bottom two.
Sure.
Um, it feels like a Bad Astronaut album, right? It feels more like a
Hmm.
Bad Astronaut record than a Lagwagon record. It's very heavy, lyrically, which I don't mind, but like it kind of the tone of that kind of carries over to the songs themselves. And for me, like I'm okay with a handful of songs that are a little bit moody, but like this, the whole thing, aside from the song I'm gonna pick, kind of has like this heavy feel to it, where I really have to be in the mood for that kind of music to delve into it.
Definitely.
Um,
Definitely.
I
Yeah.
think even though this sounds a lot like our Nirvana song, which even Joey himself has said, I think, and I don't really like picking songs like this because this is was clearly meant to be like one of the not singles, but you know what I mean. It has a feel to it, but I love Automatic.
Yeah,
Um,
dude, Automatic's great. I,
it's
I think it's a banger track on here.
yeah, like
So,
it would have been. I love Heartbreaking Music too, which I think is a good song,
mhm,
and the Contortionist was the other one I was gonna pick,
great
but
song as well.
I think Automatic feels different than the rest, which on an album like this, you kind of need. So it's the one
Mhm.
I've gravitated towards. So yeah, I'm going Automatic.
Yeah, they have a few breaks in this album, like Rager, kind of
Yeah.
and Creepy as well. But Automatic is definitely the best one of that. I mean, I love Automatic. That brush your hair, clean your teeth, develop habit, Automatic. It's so good. Nobody out there knows. It's great. It's an amazing song. I love it. It's also one of my favorites. It was uh considered for one of my picks. I think it's a great song. But my pick for this one, and I think this is the song that kind of brought the whole album into perspective for me and kind of made me really appreciate it and really was able to kind of delve in and kind of realize like this is like a concept record of Joey getting over Derek's death, basically, or trying to find a way to resolve this. You know, that's the name of it. It's like him journeying through like all of the regret and the monotony and even going inside of Derek's mind to try to figure out like what went wrong with him. And the song that just brought it all together and I've cried to this song before, I'll tell you that, which is Sad Astronaut.
Yeah,
And
it's
it
heavy.
is brutal, dude. It
Yes.
is brutal song. Like, do not listen to this if you're in a bad mood. It is depressing. It really is, but it's really powerful. And I think Sad Astronaut is like to me, it's the definitive resolve song at the end of the day. So, oh man, I don't even want to say the lyrics. They're just it's literally like depressing. So, but it's powerful when you can appreciate it. You can. You just really do got to be in the mood for this type of album. So I totally get it, John.
Yeah.
It's definitely not one you just want to put on like, oh, let's just have a good time listening to Lagwagon. It's like sitting on the edge of a bed, like considering suicide in some of the lyrics, and it's like very depressing. So, but
Yeah.
let's I guess move on to the worst resolve song here, and we'll start with you, John. And I will say this: we are kind of in the interesting with this one is like it's not the middle that I think is the weakest part of resolve. It is right after automatic
Yes.
up until
Yeah.
contortionist.
Yeah. That's
So
funny.
yeah, it's like right at the top, which I always thought was the worst part of the album was that it hits you with heartbreaking music and automatic, and then it's kind of middling track up
Yes.
until the contortionist and sad
Yes.
astronaut.
Yeah,
So
dude.
it's
That's so. I mean, that's right where I'm at. I
yep.
like the drop off from Automatic to the title track for me is just like it's severe. So like it that's what kind of makes me dislike this track the most because like you're coming from like a high, you're like heartbreaking music, Automatic, and then it's like woo, like this is such like
Mhm.
a middling track. I guess this is like where we start delving into more conceptually what the album is about, but like it just I mean, I would have been okay with this as a track one. It would have made a lot more sense to me there. But like it's too much of a drop
Hmm.
from the first two.
I
Where
wonder, resolve and then heartbreaking music. That might be a really
yeah,
interesting way to
it would
structure
it
the
would have made
album. I
way
think
more
you're right.
sense that way.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I like resolve. I like the acoustic intro. The "Don't Leave Me in This Room." But it's definitely like I would say these three songs are definitely drop off in quality, which is resolve, virus, and runs in the family, which were Resolve wasn't really, but Virus and Runs in the Family were my main considerations. And I'm going with Virus as my worst song on here. And I think it's just like another one of the weak parts of Resolve is this kind of clanky guitar riff sounds where it's just really
Yeah.
scratchy. Dan it, dan it. It doesn't sound interesting. It just sounds very lazy. And I feel like Virus is the most it sounds like the most slapped together song, which I know this whole album was written very quickly. Um, and it definitely shows, but I think it also makes it like really raw at the same time with some songs. It works really well. But I think Virus really just seems like it was kind of slapdash together a little bit. It's definitely like like it's almost a skip sometimes when I listen to this album.
Yeah,
But
dude. There's two songs that sound a lot like Nirvana, which is Automatic and Virus. One works, the other doesn't. So
oh, Virus, which song does Virus sound like? I can't think.
to me, his vocal style on here is very in utero. Just in general.
Oh, I never
I,
listened in utero, so
dude, if you listen to that in this song, like I don't know if he like was doing a lot of Nirvana listening when this came out, but the just the overall feel
yeah.
is similar to me anyway. Is very similar to In Utero, but
Hmm.
yeah, but
Yeah,
we've only got
that's it.
two records left, man, and they're kind of at the opposite side of the spectrum.
Yeah, let's get into which I think a lot of people consider like a big
Comeback,
comeback,
yeah,
a big comeback for Lagwagon, and it definitely is. Like, even though I love Resolve, like, I get it. Hang this was one of the hardest ones as well to pick a favorite and least favorite. It's also up there. Like, I feel like it's a top 4 Lagwagon record at this point. For a lot of people, some people put it at number 1.
Hallowed be thy name, thy shame. Sing the words, sing.
So, but I guess I'll start us off here and the best song, and I had to think about this a lot. The song John picked, I had in consideration. Um, there was Western Settlement. I actually thought was a really good song. The final track, In Your Wake, I thought
Yeah,
was
it's
like a
so
really good
good.
way to end it. It's so good. But I decided to go with the intro, not Burden to Proof. I consider them one song, but I'm going with Rain, which I think is such a killer way to kick this off, and it really sets the tone for like what this album's gonna be. And that like hollow B-Night name, whoa, it's just like it's so fast, it hypes you up, it gets you pulled in, and then you go into Made of Broken Parts in the cog in the machine. I think it's like the 3 strongest opening tracks from Lagwagon, and it might be up there. Like it's crazy how strong the opening of
Yeah.
this album is. So I think Rain just sets it so well. And so that's my pick. And John, what do you think is the best?
Yeah, dude, this is I love this album, and I've said this story a handful of times, but like Lewis and I were both we both soured on Lagwagon a little bit after Resolve, but like I remember on release day when I got this, I like texted him. I said, "Lagwagon's back, dude," and I think this is his favorite Lagwagon album too. And I'm not I'm an audiophile, not snob, but I do appreciate good sounding music. The vinyl on this sounds incredible. That's how I was listening to it this week.
Mm,
Um, I think the first 5 songs, I considered all of them. And I think, like you said, In Your Wake is such a good closer. But gun to my head, I would narrow it down to 2, which is Made of Broken Parts and Cog in the Machine.
mhm.
And I went with Made of Broken Parts. This is probably the one now. It's on all my main playlists. So it's the one I hear most, and I'm not even remotely sick of it. I think where this album has like a lot of strengths is that the songs have so much pieces to them. Like there's so
Mhm.
many different things. Like it takes you all different places on each track. So, and
Also,
I think,
that opening riff is one of their
yeah,
best.
dude, it's so
It's so
good.
good. Like,
But
I even, I showed my buddy who doesn't like Lagwagon this song, and he was, like, into this. He was into Hang. He was like, "That's a really good
yeah,
riff." It's
I
so
love the album cover too. Just the coloring is it's so subtle, but it's so effective. Just to
I just
shout
don't know
that
what
out.
I'm not sure what the bees are. I don't think I've ever thought about it. Why is there bees? I don't like the placement of the title, Hang. I wish it was just down below or something. In the middle of the noose, I get
Yeah.
it, but I think it's kinda a little corny, but I like the aesthetic, definitely. The color palette looks really
Yeah, I
nice.
guess if you take out the bees, it's a little more effective. Yeah. Yeah. But I mean, yeah, the
Well
coloring's what the color palette's what I
mhm.
definitely like.
I guess we'll get into the worst here, which is very difficult for me because listening through this, I was like, oh man, I actually feel like this is one of these Lagwagon albums where there's like no bad songs. There's
Yeah.
not even like really a boring song. There's not even a song that I really felt like skipping. There might be one for you, I'm not sure. But it ended with the song Drag. And not that it's a bad song, I just feel like of these kind of more metal tinted tracks on here that are using a lot of like, metal sounding guitar riffs, it's the weakest one.
Yeah.
And it's the most forgettable one, but it's still like a great track. And the placement is really good because it comes after one more song, which is like really a bad astronaut track. A good one as well. That's what it sounds like. And then it goes into You Know Me, which is another a little bit of a weaker song, but then In Your Wake is the amazing way to end it. It's probably one of their best closers, I would say. Definitely. So I'll go with Drag. It's not a bad song, just a bit forgettable. So
Yeah, I agree with you. Um the one I picked, dude, I feel bad about it, but you went out on a limb with Alien 8. Uh I'm gonna go out on a limb here. I'm gonna pick Obsolete Absolute. So here's my reasoning.
go ahead, because
I
I love this song.
Dude, I think the chorus is awesome. I think the verses are
Yeah.
I just feel like there's so much fluff on this, like that it takes so
Like
long to get anywhere. And I feel like
you don't like the intro. You could
it's
cut it down to like
really
2 minutes.
long. It's a
Sure, it's a
really
6-minute
long
track. It's like
intro.
one of the longest Lagwagon songs, so
Yeah,
I get it.
that's the way I feel. Like I think if they shaved off like half of this, like it's one of the best on the album. But I don't understand why they stretch this out to 6 minutes, especially like dude, that intro's got to be like a minute, right?
It's long, it's very long. I don't know, I've never minded it though when I listened to it. I always felt like it just kind of flowed and, built up anticipation, but I get it. Like,
Yeah.
the meat of it is definitely that chorus with that,
It's
absolutely,
so good. Yeah, but it's ruined.
absolutely,
I would never drop it on a playlist
yeah.
because I don't know if it's
It's
six
not a
minutes.
play.
But
It's
yeah,
it's a song for the album. So yeah, it's definitely not a
yeah,
playlist song. So, but yeah, I think that chorus is so good. It
yes.
overrides maybe the beginning, but there's not too many bad songs on here to pick. So I understand your reasoning
Yeah,
for
if
it.
I
So
found like a for me like a critical flaw with the song, so I went with it. Even though it's a
yeah,
good overall, it's a good song.
yeah, definitely. So let's do it and let's do the last album here, which is going to be Railer, which is as of right now the final Lagwagon album. And I don't know if they're going to come out with another one. I have no idea.
I don't think
Um,
so.
I don't know if they will. I've just judging by this, Joey's voice is very strained, and I don't know if he could make another song. So this may be the last Lagwagon record, which a lot of people consider this their worst one, which I do as well. But I still think it's a fantastic record overall. Um, and I think John, you've come around to liking this a bit more of re-listening to it. Is that correct?
Burning bright in hindsight. This is
I I mean I shit on this a fair amount, and I definitely think it's their worst by a wide margin. Um,
Yeah.
it just feels like they tried to make Hang again, but
Yes.
it
They
failed
they couldn't.
miserably. Yeah, they couldn't.
They just couldn't do it. Joey's like voice just isn't able to hit the range he was able to hit on Hang, and it really hampers it. And I just think the riffs weren't as interesting, or
No.
the writing was as interesting. But there's some great songs in here, and we're gonna talk about them because we got the best song. And John, and have you go first here. What is the best song on Railer?
To me, this is I don't even think it's close. For me, I think
Okay,
there's one song on here that could have fit in perfectly on Hang, and that is Fan Fiction. This has been my favorite song on the album since the very first time I heard it. I've never wavered. I never even had a contender to overtake it. I think this is the
yeah.
clear best song because it sounds least like anything else on this. You know, and
I
it's a
consider this
slight.
one.
It's
Yeah,
a slight, but it does. I don't mean it really that way. It just to me, it's far and away the best song on the album. So I'm going with Fan Fiction. If you like Hang and you kind of skipped over this one, just check this one out. This could be like track 7 or 8 on Hang, and nobody would bat an eye.
definitely. Yeah, it definitely would fit in on the Hang B side very well. I think you're right about that. And this was definitely up for consideration in mine. Like I really like the chorus of Fan Fiction and how it sounds. And I like, Surviving California, and Dangerous Animal has that really cool bass intro, which I think made me consider it, but I think I went with this song. And I don't know if this is gonna be weird for anybody. I don't know how many people have too many opinions on the Railer track, but I'm going with the final track, Faithfully, which I think is just like a really sweet love song at the end of the day. And I listening to the lyrics of it, and um, it just sounds like just kind of like a pretty straightforward pop punk Lagwagon song, but I think the lyrics are just like really nice on it. And when he goes like "I'm like always yours faithfully," and it goes down, 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 I like really like that little guitar riff. I think it's like a great way to end the record. And then they do that "Eh, oh, eh," which is like a church chant. I don't know what song it is, but it's also like Joey loves to take stuff from like evangelical like hymns and stuff like that and repurpose them. He does. There's a couple times he's done it.
Yeah,
This is another one.
I
I
mean you
can't remember
mentioned at
what
least
song it is.
3, I think already.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, so
3 already, and I love when he does it. I think it's really cool, like, especially because this was stuff from my childhood, so all of a sudden, I'm just hearing, like, these repurposed, melodies and riffs. It's on in a punk song is really cool, and I think "Faithfully" is a great track, so I don't know how you feel about it, but,
it's all right.
we'll, it's alright. We'll go into the worst now. So, John, what do you think is the worst song on Railer?
So I mean, again, like I don't really like this album that much. So like this was kind of like throwing darts. There's like the one song that kind of, I not only do I think it's subpar, it's kind of annoying, is Ginny. I don't know, man. Like it's kind of feels like a sea shanty turned rock song. Like it,
Yeah, I don't like the chorus.
yeah, it's
Yeah, I agree.
this is like such a drop from Hang. Like this is, I strongly dislike this song. This may
Yeah.
be my least favorite Lagwagon song, and it's right after Stealing Light and Surviving California. It's a rough spot too.
No.
So
Yeah, it's because Surviving California is one of the best
it's a
songs
pretty
in
good
here as
song,
well.
yeah.
It's a pretty good song. I feel like it also could have made its way onto uh Hang, but it's definitely like a weaker Hang
Yeah.
song. My worst, I it was pretty hard to like pinpoint exactly because I feel like there were a lot of middling kind of mediocre tracks on here that I didn't really love. And I think I went with this one right here, Dark Matter. It starts off like it's gonna be like a really good song. Like I love that octave intro riff and the fast drumming, but I think in this song, Joey's like vocals are some of the weakest that I've heard from him. And the way he sings these verses, like I can't get down with. I really don't like it's like this da 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 da. It's weird. It's like almost like a tribal chant he's doing, like oh yeah, it's like weird. And it doesn't sound good. It really sounds, and it's mean to say, but it really sounds like old. He sounds
Yeah.
very old on this song, and I think it stands out the most. And I don't think it's a particularly memorable or interesting song either, with any type of other than the intro octave riffs. Other than that, I think it's a pretty forgettable track, and I think it's like just the verses themselves, I just can't really get past. I'll skip it, like definitely, because right after that's fan fiction, which, like you
Mhm.
said, is your favorite, and is I think it's one of the best songs on the record as well. So,
Yeah. Dude,
but
Dark Matter was my number 2 worst for
yeah, is
sure.
it
Yeah,
okay? I
it's
was wondering. I was like,
yeah,
is it
dude,
just
it's
me, or is
bad.
this like the way he sings is so bad on this?
Yeah,
So,
it's bad.
yeah, so no hate. Lagwagon's been doing this since like the I think late '80s. They've been writing music and stuff like that, and eventually you just aren't going to be able to make punk
Yeah.
like you're able to before. But I still think for like a track that's an album that's like 25 something years down the road of their career, it's still pretty impressive they're even able to pull something like this off. Because I mean, in comparison to maybe we'll do a best and worst of this band as well. No effects. I mean, I think it's miles and away more interesting than
Yeah,
some of the stuff we're
it's
writing
better
about
than the
this.
last 3 NoFX albums.
So, uh, but yeah, I think that wraps it up right here, John. We did it. We did Lagwagon. Next, we plan on doing Green Day.
Yeah.
So like John said, we have he's giving away methamphetamine. Go ahead, bring it up again, John. So you need to leave a comment down below of your favorite and least favorite Lagwagon album, or go on Instagram and like the post and follow Methamphetamine as well. So to enter to win this, which is these are super dope. Like these are awesome. Um, yeah, and guys, don't forget to like the video. It really helps the channel. Don't forget to subscribe if you hadn't. Like we definitely uh want to keep making more of these. It's really fun to do. And there it is. Frenzel makes his appearance. Best and worst Frenzel. Best and worst all of these. We'll do a bunch of these. These are fun to do. And obviously the Blink video did incredibly well. So uh we like him and you guys seem to enjoy him too. So yeah. Anything you want to say, John, before we pack it up here?
No, that's it. And we know you guys like them too, and we see other YouTubers doing the same thing now as well. So we're gonna be pumping them out as fast as we can. And we've
Yeah,
got like
not as well as ours, but
we've got the next like 5, I think. At least the wheels
yeah.
are turning. Green Day's done, so we'll get that up next. But yeah, if there's a
Yep.
band you'd like to see us do, we were gonna hit some bands that maybe don't have a huge discography for us to do a tier list, like Bigwig and Jughead's Revenge. If there's something like in like that size band you want us to do, let us know, because these are a ton of fun. So
Yeah.
happy to do them. And yeah, everything Elliot said, and a big thank you to everybody who stuck around all the way to the end of the video. And yeah, and everybody who supports the channel. So with that said, we're gonna get out of here. We're like right at an hour. So again, if
All
you
right.
stuck around,
Perfect.
thank you so much, and we'll see you all next time.
Peace out.